and he's from City Lab. And yeah, so maybe let's start like with just like a little introduction. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Like, are you doing change, like maybe in your work, like in your personal space? So maybe we can just start like a little bit with the intro.
Um, Thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation. It's nice to join you in this podcast. Yeah, it's nice to be here. I'm Yannick. I work at City Lab Berlin. That's part of Technologiestiftung Berlin. It's funded by the Senate, so it's an open, public, digital innovation lab. And to answer this question straightforward, yes, we are creating change. We are creating or trying to shift mindsets as well. And we are doing this by showcasing what's already possible. We build solutions, we use them to inspire people in the public sector, also in the civic sector. We build networks to have an open exchange about these topics because digital transformation needs personal encounter, needs capacities and knowledge so that we can actually make informed decisions. And this is what the platforms, the solutions, the tools are mostly addressing. I'm in charge of strategic partnerships, so I'm also organizing with my colleagues the formats, the meetups, the way we open up the space so that really it's lowering thresholds and so that our partners and also people interested in these topics can find their way to our work.
Super interesting. So by the way, I was also joining like one of the formats yesterday. So I knew like how it works, and we had also like one project like with the Sustainable. This was the city trees, like city trees, talking to trees, right? Yeah. So this is super interesting. So I think super also hands-on, like that people can see it, like actually what's there and what can it be done. So, but maybe like coming to a personal note, like what did it drew you like to this like public sector innovation? So where are you coming from, like to this field, or were you always there?
I have a background in political science as well, so I've always been interested in the fabrics of our society and how we govern all this chaos, basically, or it would be chaos in its natural state. So the question how we organize rules and how we can actually implement them has been with me since a very long time. And I found my way like this because I was interested in stakeholders who play a role in this intersection. I always wanted to be in between sections, making bridges, connecting these areas. So I already did my research about innovation labs and innovation units. That's how I stumbled upon City Lab. It has just opened when I came across it. It is celebrating its birthday. City Lab is celebrating its birthday with a summer conference. It used to be a small party. Now it's an actual conference, a whole day full of keynotes, workshops for the city and designed with the city as well, with an open call. Um, and it marks the 7th anniversary. So City Lab is turning 7 years old. There is a little bit of policy research about the life cycle of innovation labs. So I would say it's definitely an adult or a grown lab. And I would say in reality that's also true. We are almost 50 people today. And I think this interdisciplinarity in the team is also what makes it an interesting form of organization because there are service designers, there are developers, techies, front end, back end. We can build AI tools, we build data visualization, and then there's a lot of urban knowledge and methods for service design. How does bureaucracy feel like, and how can we get more empathy in these procedures? That's what we try to do, and what we also not only talk, but also follow up and build something, make suggestions, and they can be a blueprint for better procurement, or they can be the solution that can then be scaled. But we try to accompany our partners in the administration or in the city in general until there is a first draft, until there is a first minimum viable product, an MVP that is already functional. And how to navigate this is also the question for the people in charge of the process or who own the political topic. So you mentioned the talking tree bot. I would say you can see this like a model of, let's imagine like a planet with a core and many rings around it, and there is very sensitive data, health data, personalized data at the inside of the core. That's the things that make data protection so important. This is why how we trust the government to make decisions based on this in a secure environment. And then there is more open data, environmental data, geodata that we can play around with. It might seem a little dry, a little boring in the beginning, but this is how we actually can experiment, and the more data we have, the more creative we can be. And an idea is to break down barriers for people who are not so much interested in environmental change or environmental topics. So we thought, why not give a tree a voice? We already have very detailed tree information in Berlin. There is a data portal that holds a lot of tree info. We know about the age, the kind of tree, the species, the water requirement based on the age and the weather data. So if we now add an AI to just summarize this info and add a microphone or a speaker to the tree, we could talk to it. And that's how the talking tree bot also came to life, to just, make our ecosystem a visible stakeholder and make us more aware that we have to take them into account when we do future decision making. And it's a playful way, but of course with a more serious intention behind it.
Thanks so much. Like, I think like you were like touching the points like of like governance, right? Like, so really having this like governance like structure, like first as having this kind of a lab. So maybe like to having, I'm not super sure, like, how is it like in the different cities? Is it also directly connected, like, with the government as like one of the organs? And I think this is like one topic. And then the other topic, like you were saying, like you make like the data a bit more like sensible. So like the people has like a kind of understanding, like what's actually happening also regarding in the nature, for example, with this like trees or like health data, planetary data. So I think like there are like different points, right? So like one is like having this like sustainable government structure, like that is like as this like kind of lab is existing since 7 years, you know, for like the citizens. And but also from the other side, how that like the methodology and or maybe like the things like what you can build in this like lab to make to participation and like that people like can see it and they can understand actually what does it mean the data for a change. So maybe like can you like maybe regarding to your like experience, is there like any other like labs existing maybe like in the other countries, like in the other cities, and do you have like a collaboration also with them, and or maybe like also meetups like with the other city labs, and maybe like how do you select like your projects? So maybe we can go to that other point, but maybe first like starting from governance.
You touched a lot of topics here now, but I'm trying to remember all the questions. Maybe help me out in the process. So institutionally, we are part of a foundation, Technologiestiftung Berlin, and we receive our annual funding from the Senate, only from the Senate. So we are independent, but working in a public context and focusing on the Berlin innovation landscape, strategically there where there is, let's say, a gap in for the common good, for common good purposes, like Gemeinwohl orientiert, and focusing on the stakeholders in the administration, but taking with us the knowledge from civic spaces, from universities. So if we talk about participation or levels of participation, we always include the people who are affected in our digital solutions, in the manufacturing of those solutions. So people who are looking for a service and the people who are running the service and the digital expertise from our team put together in a process. Or we have a summer school with TU Berlin and HTW Berlin, where we collaborate with professors and students, and we bring in real-world challenges, and then we have, let's say, urban experts and data knowledge, and then we work together on solutions that are actually problems in the city that we can bring in, and we have 2 weeks, like a hackathon, small hackathon, where there are actually valuable insights that the partners can use and can continue working on. So that will be one aspect of level of participation. The next summer school is already in planning, so it's already taking place again this September. We can definitely talk about that as well. That would be one answer. The other one, are there others out there? Yes, there are, That's also why the Creative Bureaucracy Festival, we are here right now, is such a highlight for us, because many people around the world are running labs. One of the first innovation labs almost 20 years ago was founded in Mexico City by Gabriela Montes Montt, I think. I hope I got the name right. Amazing to have like visionaries like that, and we can build upon these experiences. We had a meetup just earlier today with Innovation Labs from Denmark, from Finland, on city level, on national levels. And in Germany, it was us who initiated, together with Politics for Tomorrow, a think tank. Together with them, we organized a meeting for the German labs, or the German-speaking labs, also including Austria and Switzerland. Because we saw that there is labs on municipal level in cities, there is labs on the state level, Bundesländer, and there is labs in the federal level, in the ministries or between the ministries. And we wanted to have this safer space where we can exchange knowledge across these federal levels, basically. So we did this in 2020, quite a while ago. We wrote a paper, an input paper, an impulse paper about learnings from the innovation landscape, how to use them, how to work with us, basically. And as of today, the interest is not decreasing. We still see cities who are very interested in opening up labs, because we see a change in democratic culture, and governments want to be more impactful. So having a lab or using the methodologies of an innovation lab can help you building this space where you can have encounters, where you can give citizens the chance to also have an impact on your work as a government or as a university. And that's why those laboratories and the sharing of knowledge and the sharing of infrastructure has not become less crucial. The only thing that's changing is the political landscape. Funding is decreasing. We see innovation labs struggling in the US context, for example, from Washington up until to state level, where there are very innovative people, and the changing of funding and the changing of political priorities is definitely there, but the use case and the positive feedback from the individual labs has not ceased yet, and is still there, still ongoing. So we want to develop and improve this ecosystem of innovation units as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Like, I think it's, as you said, like there are different parameters, like according to the which level, but also like, I think politic, to having the support. I think having the support system and having a democratic system is like one of the enablers of also participation, also how to innovate, how to reaching the systems. So and that's why I want to ask you like a bit more like now, like more personal like question, like when you think like all the projects, maybe like also like in the City Lab level, or maybe like you can think also like other projects. So what, like, do you have like an example that made you think, okay, yeah, this is like why I work, in the sector. This is like what makes us move. This is exactly why this work matters, that you see, that you felt the change, and maybe, that you have this feeling of, that's why I'm doing this.
Beautiful question. I like it. And I immediately have three answers, if I'm allowed to give you three angles. One is, in my role, we are coordinating delegations who come to visit us, delegations and individuals who are welcome in our City Lab exhibition. We are located at Tempelhof Airport. It's spacious, as you might know. Yes, you've been there. So it's very spacious, and we have an exhibition. We have a lot of people coming there. And first aspect why I love our work and my job is that people always stumble upon things in their own city, and they were like, I didn't know that this exists, and this is very useful, or this is very cool, or I like that, I'm going to share this with my friends. I don't make this up. I hear this almost every time someone is visiting the exhibition. And I think as Germans, we also really love to complain about structures and everything that's not working, and the train is also late. But we have to change this narrative and put a focus on what's already working, and showcasing this to people, having a whole space of solution. It changes the perception of citizens, not experts. I mean
Yeah.
citizens who just stumble upon this.
Yeah.
And I really love this moment when there's like, that's cool. I didn't know this exists. And
Yeah.
we don't have the, let's say, the capacities for big media campaigns. So it's always a little bit of chance and strategic partnerships that we need. The second layer is we build solutions. I said it earlier. We
Yeah.
build digital solutions. We build open data and AI infrastructure. And one of the things that I really like is that we get a lot of feedback for what we do from the government units that we work with. And there is two projects. One is called Parla, parla.berlin. Go check it out. It is about parliament requests, and you can easily ask what Berlin is currently doing based on the parliament documentation system, 20,000 documents. You see what's currently put into place, like what policies are put into practice with what measures, and you get natural, you can put your question in there, like what is Berlin doing for elderly people? What is Berlin doing for infrastructure or research?
Yeah.
And then you get all the programs, and then you get all the sources from previous requests, and also from the laws and regulations that are put into place that are in the parliament documentation system. It's called PADOC Berlin.
Yeah.
So Parla is one of them,
Like paradox.
and the feedback that we get is like, this tool from the Senate working level, this tool is a game changer for my work because I have
You don't need to go there.
I have to I have to I have to address
Yeah.
I have to reply to Parliament Abgeordnete, to members of Parliament with the Parliament request in 2
Exactly.
weeks deadline. So
Yeah.
all I do is answering hundreds and hundreds of Parliament requests, because sometimes they can be abused politically because you want to like manipulate the system, you want to keep people busy, so you ask them 1,000 questions. And the idea is to use this tool and make the answers faster and also validated through you as a professional in the Senate. And it helps them and reduces this from days to literally minutes to have a first draft and then finish it and send it out. And it's a huge relief. And we get this feedback, like it's a relief, it's helpful, it's not very sexy, it's not very big, but it's solving this very problem.
Exactly. It makes it more efficient.
So that would be one. And the other one, the latest one, it's launched in November last year, BERT-GBT. BERT-GBT is the AI assistant that we built specifically for the Berlin government. So Parla is open, everyone can use Parla, but BERT-GBT is an assistant for employees in the administration. They can use it, they can upload documents, they can work with their things in protected environment, and we can always switch between large language models. So currently it's running on Mistral, the French AI, and I think that's also partly what we mean when we talk about digital sovereignty, because we understand the infrastructure, we have ensured that it's like BSI conform, like very safe, applying according to German data protection standards. It's important if you want to run public infrastructure, and people can use it to translate stuff, to write letters, to write, to get feedback, to how to say it, like to check your texts, or to get questions, to get challenged by it. You can prompt, and you can be better and learn prompting and just have a first touch point, because for public sector employees, sometimes it's difficult to play around with technologies and to learn. So we can build this tool, and alongside, we can also think about how to spark curiosity and share their stories on our CityLab blog and tell people how government is using it and how it's supporting them, so other people can also do it. And it's open source. It's an open source tool, so other cities can also copy the whole infrastructure. It's all on the CityLab website. That would be the second one. The third one, and then I'm trying to keep it shorter, we have a lot of interest in our approach of doing innovation in Berlin. So it's also coming from other cities. And currently, I have the pleasure of working with the city of Wiesbaden and the city of Mönchengladbach, and we are thinking with them how to set up their innovation spaces. And what I really like, specifically, what my wow moment would be, is like that they from playful tools like talking trees, or we have AI cubes that give you project ideas, up until design thinking methods. They really want to use this and want to adapt it and say like, if it's been done in Berlin, I can also use this as an argument, so it can be done in Wiesbaden, or it can be done in Mönchengladbach. And since Berlin is such a diverse and culturally diverse city, we can also have a lot of different solutions for challenges in Mönchengladbach. Let's say with more of a a migrant influence, migrant culture, people of color, different needs that are in the city society as an industrial or post-industrial city, Mönchengladbach, and Wiesbaden as the capital of Hessen and an economically strong city, but also faced with demographic changes. So how can we involve elderly people? How can we involve citizens in AI discussions? How do we not lose people in technological debates? All of these are questions that were asked or challenges in a room where they turned to us and they were like, you're doing this and this and this and we are reading your work, so please can we find a way to somewhat work together, because we want our labs to be functional and to address these topics as effective as possible. So Zukunftswerk in Wiesbaden and Stadtlabor Mönchengladbach are now alive. They are opened. They opened last year. They have had hundreds and thousands of people involved in participation, and seeing proud project owners in the government and lab managers who share their success stories based on our learnings, that makes me incredibly proud and it makes me very happy, and I hope that we can share this spark of inspiration with cities in Germany, but also across or beyond these borders. So three answers that I hope give you an idea.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Like, I think this was like the one of the like things like what I am trying to do like at this our transformation hub, because we built like this now 11 innovation clusters, and we try to really like also check like the best examples, like best use cases, and then like who are the actors, who are the stakeholders in that level, and who do we need to bring on one table to really rethink and then co-create. So I think this is like a kind of I think you were like summarizing like from, learning from each other, collaborating, and then seeing, and if it's already like a solution, if it's already developed, so we can just take it and we can use it, So it's something, it's also, I think it's like, why do we need to go through the old process if it's something already there? So I think this was like also something like maybe to maybe close this like conversation. Like I think it's also super important to when we think of like changing the system. So since you are like more focusing on like the public sector, right? Like so in the government, like how do you like create these tools, like these digital tools, like also enables like participation, but also makes like the work of government more effective, like with the Parler, BerGPT, yes, and Parler, yes. So I think this kind of tools like can be also reusable, maybe in other contexts. So maybe now the people knows like who to reach, like and maybe to you like the contacts. So I think this is like a very also nice and nourishing way to think about. Like how actually maybe when we think like now we are thinking a bit more like of also the different generations. So maybe like to close this like talk, what would you maybe think of like when you think about younger generations, right? So now actually they are the ones like who would need to face like multiple crises, and so of course like the work we are doing is super good like right now, and like changing systems right now, but like maybe what would you like reimagine like or wish for this also generation, when you come, I don't know, like if we are in Berlin still like in 25 years, or when we go back, when we go future like 2045, and what would you like to see maybe that we are already having this like change for the future generations? Do you have something specific when you travel to the future and then you are there? How do you imagine? Do you
Big question. If I'm looking at today's generation, and I'm not considering myself as part of the younger generation, unfortunately not anymore, but being like confronted with the pandemic during studies or during your educational phase, the wars that are here that are affecting how people think about the future. I can only and barely imagine how it feels like to look into a future in these times. So I definitely want to encourage people to keep in mind that we can always see global developments and local developments as intertwined, as connected, but also as different dynamics. And if we focus on the local dynamics and what we can do in local networks and what we can build, and if we keep the curiosity, in technological developments and into other humans. So if we have empathy and a little bit of technical capacities, we can move a lot of things. We always have as humanity, and I think we should keep doing that. What I wish for them to live through is that governments worldwide are strengthening their effort for climate adaptation, climate mitigation, and awareness of climate risks, social safety, social security, and modernized democratic infrastructure, meaning methodologies, a voting system, ongoing participation opportunities, and impact communication. And I think these are three layers or three cases that I think I would love to see more, so that young people understand why it's worth being active in the public life, why it's worth not giving up, not being isolated with your phone somewhere alone in your room, but being out there, being in a network, and working on these ideas and bringing them to life. We have to build what we want to see in our cities, and we can offer at least some examples where it works, and I'm sure you can name others. And if we collect them, we have quite a many of them. So yeah, I think that will be it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Like, yeah, I mean, this is like also what I'm working also right now, like also how to get also the Gen Z, in the game of like impact game, there's not just like sitting and like watching, but acting with us. I think like we have also a bit like now like experience, and so this is like why I also want to build this like media format. So this is like one of it. So but yeah, thank you, Yannick, like for taking part, and and also thank you for the live streamers. So see you soon, hear you soon. Follow us, ShiftZ by Sustainable in Spotify, in Apple Podcasts, and also in YouTube. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Nice.
Questions?
Yeah, big questions. Big questions all the time.
It depends if you think like
Perfect. Thank you. Let's have a selfie.
yeah, you need to be
You need to know what you're doing.
like if you're good enough, you need to
Nice.
like
Cool, ja.
one goal.
Genau, also ich glaube, das ist nicht jetzt direkt, aber vielleicht, also so bald halt. Dann, ich versuche mal das vielleicht zusammenzuschneiden und dann.
Ja.
Genau, aber ich sag dir
Es
nur
war
Bescheid.
phasenweise ein bisschen lange Antworten, aber ich
Ja.
dachte, du schnappst dir einfach was,
Ja, genau.
wo du hin willst.
Ja.
Sehr
Aber
schön.
der war schön.
Hat Spaß gemacht. Ich bin nicht so oft im Podcast. Muss immer ein bisschen überlegen, wie ich mich kurz fasse. Die wichtigsten Sachen dann muss man sagen.
Nee, das war gut.
Hi, how are you? How good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How
And
are
you? And have you had a good conversation or a bad one?
We had
A good one.
How satisfied were you with my answer?